today's webinar is Dr. Shringeshwara, who is the curator, Mahatma Gandhi Botanical Garden, University of Agricultural Sciences, GKVK campus, Bengaluru. I welcome you, sir, for the webinar. And I now take the privilege of introducing the speaker, Dr. Shringeshwara, to the participants. Dr. Shringeshwara is the curator, as I said earlier, in Mahatma Gandhi Botanical Garden, University of Agricultural Sciences, GKVK campus, Bengaluru. He has done post-graduation in applied botany and PhD from Kuvempu University, Shimoga. He has more than 20 years of research experience in the field of biodiversity and study of seed plants. He is involved in Karnataka Biodiversity Board's initiative on the development of baseline data on seed plants of Karnataka with Dr. Sanjappa, former director BSI, and co-authored Flora of Karnataka, a checklist, volume 2, gymnosperms and angiosperms. He is involved in the development of identification key to the forest trees of Karnataka based on vegetative morphological characters. He is involved in development of herbarium-based database on flowering plants, the Digital Flora of Karnataka, which is now stationed in Indian Institute of Science. He is involved in various projects of national and international level and like the projects on the database on medicinal plants of Karnataka, traditional horticultural crops of Karnataka, biodiversity of Western Ghats part of Karnataka. The most interesting aspect to the students of taxonomy is he has discovered 5 impatient species and named Impatiens Adish Shankarae, Impatiens kodachadriensis, and so on. He has 33 publications in national and international journals, 7 reports, 5 books, and contributions to books to his credit. He has presented papers in many national and international conferences and workshops. His main areas of research activities are taxonomy of flowering plants of Western Ghats, identification of trees with vegetative characters, database development of medicinal plants, and so on. I have circulated his biodata about his achievements and contributions to the field of botany and more particularly to the field of taxonomy to our student groups so that they will know about what to do and how much we can contribute, how much we can work and achieve in the field of botany and more particularly in the field of taxonomy. This, what I have given you here, is only a nutshell of what achievements and what work he has done in the field of taxonomy. Today we have him amongst us for giving the talk on botanical gardens, its role in conservation and education. He is the curator of a botanical garden of prestigious Agricultural University of Bangalore, situated in Bangalore. And sir, I am proud to share with my viewers my opinion about you or my feeling about you that you are like hooker for us, hooker of Kew Botanic Gardens for us, the curator. And you are the most apt person to get an introduction about the botanical gardens here. Thank you for accepting our invitation, sir. And I welcome you once again for today's webinar on botanical gardens, its role in conservation and education.
So thank you, Madam Shailaja, because of our elaborated introduction. I don't know I'm fit for that much, I don't know, but she has given a very elaborate introduction. Thank you very much, Madam. So thank you, the principal, also for giving me an opportunity to share my thoughts about these botanical gardens with the students especially. So today my topic is botanical gardens and its role in conservation and education. I'm just giving you what is conservation and how these botanical gardens will involve in this conservation and education aspects. And two important botanical gardens in our country, one is the Indian Botanical Garden, and then internationally one Kew Garden. I just give you a brief introduction about those two. Generally, you will find a statement like this, that is, biological diversity has reached a crisis state and that human activities are destroying the natural world and its biota at an ever-increasing rate. So this particular sentence you will see everywhere, wherever you talk about biodiversity or conservation or education or something like that. This is the common statement, you can find it. But there is no hardly any disagreement about this particular statement, that biodiversity is necessary for us and we need to conserve the biodiversity for our own existence. That is true also. So why do we think of this biodiversity of much importance? So biodiversity is required to satisfy our vital needs of our mankind. That means nature is very useful for our existence. Without that, we may not be able to sustain or live in this particular planet. So every scientist, politicians, administrators, everybody, they agree that there should be a priority list of global centers for the preservation of this biological diversity, and it is very much necessary. So the simplest solution for this conserving biodiversity is to save as many habitats as possible. So we call that as in situ conservation. There are many programs have been done in this particular aspect, and we developed national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, nature reserves, bioreserves, heritage sites like that, so on. We did it in our country to conserve the existing biodiversity. So without any doubt, the world's primary biodiversity as a whole can only be conserved in situ. Only the in situ is the actual conservation procedure, but this, however, does not discredit the ex situ collections, which intend to conserve genetic resources and hopefully a limited number of species. So in situ is the actual conservation, we know, but still this ex situ collection is also one of the important genetic resource we can conserve outside their natural habitat of any species. So which species to be conserved, it is once again a debate, and it is related to the usefulness of the species. Generally we conserve in any ex situ area. If species is very useful, we start conserving those. That means depending upon the usefulness of the species, we start conserving the species. So World Conservation Strategy in 1980s defines the conservation as the management of human use of the biosphere so that it may yield the greatest sustainable benefit to present generation while maintaining its potential to meet the needs and aspirations of future generation. That is the definition given by the World Conservation Strategy in 1980 itself about the conservation. So what are the aims of this conservation? Why do we conserve, and what are the major aims? So there are three major aims of this conservation. One is that to maintain essential ecological processes and life support systems. And the second one is to preserve genetic diversity, which is required, very much required for this development of crops and other things. And then to ensure that utilization of species and ecosystem sustainable. That ecosystem should be sustained for future generation also. So these are the three important aims of the conservation. So botanical gardens here come to the picture are considered to be the vital ring within this plant conservation. So these botanical gardens play an important role or maybe a vital link in conservation of these plant biodiversity. So in 1984, the IUCN and WWF Plant Conservation Program has been launched, and with an aim that to draw botanical gardens closer into the conservation network, because they want to make a botanical gardens a network wherein the conservation aspects can be taken up, to coordinate them as the ex situ network for threatened plants. It is just first they want to focus more on threatened plants which are in the danger in the nature. So first they focus on threatened plants, and to promote the use of botanical gardens to educate the public about the plants and their conservation. We need to educate the public so that we can able to conserve the biodiversity which is there in our immediate surroundings. So the main emphasis in 1994 was laid on botanical garden is that ex situ preservation of threatened plants is the first and foremost aim, and then other things are subsidiary of this. So botanical gardens have a great abilities to explore plant diversity and plant resource utilization. However, in mainstream plant science, research conducted in botanical gardens is often neglected. In many a times, these research is conducted in botanical gardens are neglected. Scientists at botanical gardens, leaders in the plant science community, in many places, in many scenarios, in many symposiums, many workshops, the scientists in the botanical garden are not in the mainstream. They are at the neglected, and that shouldn't be happen. See, botanical gardens are in great position to address important questions on plant conservation, since they usually keep records of plant behavior in there, for especially in a scenario of climate change. So they have record their behavior, plant behavior regularly, so that what happens if the climate change happens, what happens with that plant behavior. So that is very important for developing effective conservation measures. So the gardens are as old as civilization. These gardens are the concept of the garden as not new. This is as old as our civilization itself. So man had begun to cultivate plants in gardens, so supply himself conveniently with the food, to provide drugs, or to grow beautiful flowers. They developed the gardens. They may not call it as a botanical garden, but they started doing this as old as our civilization itself. So you may be knowing that there is one famous garden, Hanging Gardens of Babylon, converted among the wonders and ancient world. This is one of the most ancient botanical gardens exist today. So, Hanging Gardens of Babylon. See, the modern concept, what we are talking about botanical garden, is originated in Europe in 1545 with Italy's Padova Botanical Garden, which is built in 1545 itself. Today, apart from this, there are 2,500 important botanical gardens that exist in the world. So an estimate, according to the Botanical Garden Conservation International, an estimate says that about 80,000 of taxa have been conserved in these botanical gardens. That means it is 1/4 of the estimated number of vascular plant species found in our world. Imagine how important these botanical gardens are. So these gardens thus play a central role in ex situ conservation and exploration of global plant biodiversity. So it is these botanical gardens play a very, very important role in ex situ conservation. So indeed, so one of the targets of the Global Strategy for Plant Conservation, we generally call it as GSPC, is to have 70% of the world's threatened species to be conserved ex situ in botanical gardens. I'll talk about later what is Global Strategy Plant Conservation, because it is very important and very relevant to the botanical garden also. So it was during 16th century that the first botanical garden of the world was established by an Italian professor of botany, Luca Ghini. So in Italy, Pisa, he has developed this particular garden in 1543 itself. So he was the director of this botanical garden, and later he was succeeded by, there is one famous botanical Alpino. Left side there is, I put a picture. This is the picture named after this Andrea Caesalpino. That is Caesalpinia pulcherrima. This plant is named after that particular person. He is one of the greatest botanists in our time. So botanic gardens are institutions holding documented collections of living plants for the purpose of scientific research, conservation, display, and education. This is a definition given by Botanic Garden Conservation International. There is one international agency or association, it is Botanic Garden Conservation International, wherein a network of botanical gardens is available for the public, wherein any information of any botanical garden around the world, you can get it from that particular institution. It's called Botanic Garden Conservation Institution. So they have given a definition that botanic gardens are the institutions. It should be an institution and holding a documented collection. This is very, very important. Holding a documented collection of living plants for the purpose of scientific research, conservation, display, and education. So that means there are 4 important areas the botanical garden should address. So, and this particular definition is adopted in the International Agenda for Botanical Gardens and Conservation, IABGC in 2000. This particular definition has been adopted. So the garden is generally defined as the place for growing flowers, fruits, or vegetables. So generally it is started growing the vegetables, fruits, flowers, and art. But botanic garden is an educational institution for scientific workers and general public or laymen to awake and enlighten interest in plant life. So that is an important role of a botanical garden. We need to enlighten the public about the conservation and conserving the biodiversity. So as Botanic Garden Conservation International says, in the face of an uncertain future, an urgent priority now must be conservation through seed banking and living collection for as many plant species as possible by way of insurance policy. See, Botanical Garden Conservation International says these botanical gardens are like an insurance policy. So that means they have a repository here. If something happened to the wild, so you can replace that from this particular botanical garden, like an insurance policy. That is like an insurance policy. A botanical garden must be a public institution. They say that it should be a public institution committed to long-term maintenance. There should be a long-term maintenance agenda should be there in the country. Whatever the collections are there, that has to be maintained for the long term. It's not a short-term process. So botanical garden should always have a complete documentation of their collections, control over plants collected, and demonstrate a responsible management of their collection. That means their collections to be documented. That is one of the very, very important aspect of botanical garden is that there should be a documentation of their collections. So in other ways, generally in parks or recreational places where you may not find this documentation of their collections. Here we find a complete documentation of their collections. So well-documented collections allow botanical gardens to support botanists and other scientists by providing documentation and resource for research. So this particular documentation will provide them a material for their further research. The best known objective is recreation. Of course, any botanical garden or any park, the first and best known objective is recreation, and exhibitions, plant sales, and picnics under the trees and relaxing in a natural environment are some of the possibilities that botanical garden offer both residents and the tourists. Of course, it may be one of the important functions, but that is not the only function. So second very important objective of the botanical garden is to education. We need to involve in the education of the publics and the students or faculty or researchers or whatever maybe. So we need to involve in the education. So this includes summer camps for kids, school groups, tours, interpretation classes, and seminars, as well as publications and other ways of sharing information between botanical gardens and horticulture professionals. That is very, very important as a role of the botanical garden. So finally, gardens have a scientific objective. It should have a scientific objective. Gardens have always studied botany, taxonomy, systematics, and all. So today, the field of studies are even broader, from the molecular research in the lab to ecological fieldwork, conservation studies of local plant, and so on. So that is there in today's role of botanical garden. So botanical garden acts as outdoor laboratories. So there may not be an indoor laboratory, but it is an outdoor laboratory. You can study the plants where they are growing. Initiate studies on the tropical and temperate ecosystems and their biota before they are lost to science and preserve such systems. We can study the plant. It is difficult for any plant to go in their wild. It's difficult, so that if we plant those plants in the botanical garden, we can study their behavior, all those things, and what is their adjustment and all, so that it will help to conserve such important species. Serve as the centers of gene pool or germplasm bank for wild release of economically important plants. This is one of the most important function or role of the botanical garden, wherein you can find a gene pool of very important species, wild relatives of economically important plants. Any plant breeding or any enhancement of plant crop improvement, everything, it depends upon the wild gene pool. Because any disease resistance, anything like that, we can find these wild varieties that can be incorporated in the cultivated plants, so that we can improve the crop improvement. So that is one of the important role in crop improvement. So organize educational programs to create environmental awareness among children, students, and train teachers in environmental education. That is one of the important aspects, so that we can able to educate and showing the live collections, so that people will understand what we are talking. So botanical gardens provide living plant materials for many research. So many parts of the country, they are depending upon these botanical garden for their materials of research. It is available there. They need not to go to the wild for collection of such things. So most of the economically important plants were originally introduced and distributed in the botanical gardens through botanical gardens. To the world through botanical. Many of the botanical, for example, if you think about the tea or important trees like mahogany or whatever, it is first brought to the botanical garden. From there, it has been spread to the other parts. So that means the distribution of crops here, botanical gardens plays an important role. So documentation in botanical gardens includes more than information about species diversity. It's not just a species diversity alone. It also contains information about the environment wherein it is living, ecological systems, and their sustainability. All of this knowledge contributes to the botanical and horticultural research and helps to put biodiversity conservation in place. So just not diversity alone garden will not play a role. Also, it will play a role where it grows, where it is an environmental situation in which it grows, ecological systems prevailing in that particular region, all such recorded while collecting the species. That means, so this botanical garden plays an important role in conservation. So what are the important functions of a botanical garden? So you can say there are several functions you can list out. One is the scientific research, foremost function of the botanical garden. In situ or ex situ conservation of and utilization of the species. So seed exchange is one of the important aspects of the botanical garden. And then education, as I said earlier, and aesthetic appeal. We need to make a landscape in the botanical so that people will get appeal to see this particular botanical garden. And then citizen science and popularization. So that means it's the awareness or educational purpose. So there are a range of scientific activities conducted by botanical gardens around the world. One is that their conservation. That means they have brought the plants maybe of different categories like the endangered, threatened, or whatever maybe they brought in and they're growing in the botanical garden. They're conserving that particular gene pool. That is one is that. And then once they started conserving the plants in the botanical garden, they started propagating it. Either through seeds or vegetatively, they start propagating. That propagation comes into picture, and then if anything is look beautiful or something like that, they can use for the horticultural purpose also. And then seed science is very important. Now I think this Kew Garden also started doing that. One is Millennium Seed Bank, there wherein they store many seeds of very important plant species for the next generation. That is the seed science. And then taxonomy, of course, one of the important role or the activities by the botanical garden, that means the taxonomy or the scientific classification of the plant species of that particular region. And then systematic study of these plants, and then genetics, there is a collection of their diversity, also things comes to picture. And then biotechnology, now they are growing into the molecular aspects, and then these tissue culture aspects. Education, as I said earlier, and then restoration ecology, and public education, and much more. So these are some of the activities conducted by the botanical gardens around the world. So there are many or multiple roles these botanical gardens will do. One is, it is a center of plant interaction. So it is a center for plant interaction, and it is center for ex situ conservation and in situ support. Once you start ex situ conservation, from that you can do propagation, and then you can use it for the in situ conservation. You can use these propagules or the seedlings, whatever it may be, you can use it for in situ propagation or reintroduce into their native habitats. Sources of urban and peri-urban diversity, because majority of the botanical gardens, they are there in the urban or peri-urban region, that makes one of the sources of urban and peri-urban biodiversity. So official center for the implementation of conservation legislation. So in many places, so this is the official center for developing any conservation legislation. Holders of national collection, most of the botanical gardens hold the national collections, which is very important, and historical archive. Many of the historical archive will be there in the botanical garden. So education, training is also one of the important role. Research in ethnobotany, medicinal plants, aromatic plants, or food plants, also things comes to picture. And then it is an academic resource centers wherein students can come and study the plants. And centers of recreation is also one of the important role. And then centers for sustainable development. It will show how the plants has to be developed sustainably. So that is an important role played by the botanical gardens. Botanical gardens also have an important role. Apart from that, preservation of species necessary for human life, youth, and well-being. And this role is likely to become increasingly important as climate change becomes more severe. As the climate change becomes severe, these functions of botanical garden are more and more important, because we need to conserve more and more plants in the botanical gardens. So one of the most important role in the botanical garden play a conservation in environmental education. As I said earlier, conservation and environmental education are the major role of the botanical garden. So each year, more than 150 million people visit gardens all over the world and have the chance to get in touch with the nature. So they can get in touch with nature. Botanical gardens are a unique environment to raise public awareness and help people understand the importance of biodiversity, educate people about the threats that currently face us, and make them realize that nature conservation is everyone's job. So wherein you can definitely make the public aware about these biodiversity crisis and all such things, and you can educate the public. If you educate the public, you can save the biodiversity around us. It also helps to remove the wild populations from the pressure of scientists, horticulturists, or collectors. So generally what the scientists or horticulturists or collectors do, they go to the wild and they collect whatever they wanted. But these botanical garden can play an important role here, that they need not go to the wild, they need not collect plants from the wild. Instead of that, they can collect from the botanical garden itself. So the presence of these rare species in a botanical garden makes it available for scientific research, education, and possible horticulture or commercial exploitation without affecting wild population. Very, very important. So without affecting that, you can develop whatever you want to do it. So that is very important aspect of the botanical garden. So ex situ conservation can also serve as an insurance policy. As I said earlier, it is like an insurance policy for endangered species by creating and protected reserve of especially vulnerable native species or populations. So wherein you can develop a protected area or protected place wherein these certain species can be conserved. Certain species can convert. If something happens to the wild, so you can reintroduce those things, those species. So this garden plays as an insurance policy. So botanical gardens are ideal places to practice ex situ conservation because they have appropriate facilities and skilled horticulturalists and botanists. Because majority of the botanical gardens, the staffs are either horticulturalists or skilled botanists, so their service can be taken for the conservation aspects. So ex situ conservation includes not only the cultivation of plants in gardens and greenhouses, but also maintenance of seed, pollen, or any propagal samples, in vitro cell or tissue culture. It is not just the living collection alone the botanical garden does. It also has the other role like the collection of seeds or the collection of pollens, especially for example, if you take in orchids, so these pollen can be conserved for almost an year. So there will be viability be there for a year. So you can collect the pollen and use for the hybridization purpose. Such things the botanical gardens will do. So one of the botanical gardens' primary conservation objectives can be working to conserve local flora from scientific research to collaboration with town, cities, and local organizations to conserve the restore habitats. So it is not just collection of living collection of exotic species or ornamental species, not like that. It is the collection of living collections of the surrounding local flora. That is more important. So this global strategy for plant conservation also has says that the plants of that particular region needs to be collected in the botanical garden. It is not just only the exotic flora. The native flora has to be collected in the botanical gardens. So botanic gardens with adequate staff provides facilities for training in landscape gardening, horticulture operations, and other allied disciplines. It also serves as the place for the education of these many fields like landscape gardening, horticulture operations, and other subdisciplines. So these gardens will do such education programs also. Botanical gardens maintain exchange relations with other gardens of the world and thus distribute seeds, saplings, and other propagals far off places. So there is one of the important role where botanical gardens also maintains a nursery wherein you can develop important plant species that you can able to exchange with other botanical gardens or other places so that these species will survive elsewhere also. Some botanic gardens also bring out at regular intervals lists of plants or seeds present in their garden, and that we call it as index seminum. So available for distribution and exchange. So many botanic gardens bring out this index seminum and what is their living collections or whatever the collections which they have, and that is available for exchange. So currently, exchange of plant or seeds with gardens outside the country are subject to prevailing acts and rules of biodiversity. Of course, we cannot able to send these saplings or seeds outside the country because of these biodiversity rules. Of course, we can exchange within the country without any restrictions. But outside the country, we need to take approval from the state or national biodiversity board. Otherwise, within the state, we can able to exchange the material for the conservation aspects. So as I said earlier, documented collections is one of the features that distinguish botanic gardens from the parks, recreation grounds, and other wilderness areas. So every species or whatever the collection there in the botanic garden, that is documented with all other information. So that is one of the important distinguishing features with respect to other parks or wilderness area to that of botanical garden. So there are special kinds or sections available in the botanical garden. In generally, I just list out few like arboretum. It is a botanical gardens are parts of the botanical garden where the main collection are of woody species and are called arboreta or arboretum. Small areas in the forest set aside for conserving arborescent species can serve as a function of arboreta. So tree species, mainly woody species, we conserve in one particular place or on part of the garden, and that we call it as arboretum. So in many botanical gardens, this particular section is available. Second is that it is restricted to some or few botanical garden, that is pinetum. So it is an arboretum where main collections of conifers. Maybe only in the northern part of this country we can find this particular section of botanical garden, and one such section is there in the Indian Botanic Garden at Calcutta. It is there in Indian Botanical Garden, Calcutta. So other sections like Orchidarium is a collection of orchids and with the help of a greenhouse. So wherein we conserve the orchids are the members of the family Orchidaceae. The Government of India has established 3 national orchidae in Botanical Survey of India, at one in Shillong, one is at Howrah, and one is at Ercot. You can find the national orchidariums, and also most of the botanical gardens, many botanical gardens, like one in GKVK, one at the Kolhapur Botanical Garden, wherein you can also find these orchidariums. So this is one of the objectives of the botanical garden, also to conserve these orchids. And other sections like Bambusatum, it is a garden where the main collection is bamboos. A good Bambusatum is maintained at Calcutta Indian Botanical Garden, and also important Bambusatum you can find at Thiruvananthapuram at Kerala, and Forest Research Institute, Dehradun, wherein they have a separate section for these things. And other sections like Fernarium, the collection of ferns and fernalies in a climate change, climate controlled environment. You can find such Fernarium in the Dehradun, also it is there, and also one in Thiruvananthapuram, Kerala. There you can find such Fernarium. And then ginger house. This is one of the important collection area wherein collection of the species belong to the family Gingiberaceae. So very good ginger house can be found at Calicut Botanical Garden, Calicut University, wherein more than 250 to 300 species of gingers can find. Very important collections in the entire country. So these are some of the sections in the you can find in the botanical garden. So as I said earlier, Global Strategy for Plant Conservation, GSPC, it is very important and it is very relevant for the botanical garden. So it is an international initiative for plant conservation, and it is first proposed at International Botanical Congress in 1999. So in 2002, it has adopted by the world's governments as a program under the Convention on Biological Diversity. So it has been adopted. So as the GSPC, that is Global Strategy for Plant Conservation, states, so without plants, there is no life. The function of the planet and our survival depends on plants. The strategy seeks to halt the continuing loss of plant diversity. So that is a definition given by the GSPC, and to halt such a loss of diversity, the GSPC includes 5 objectives and 16 targets for plant conservation to be achieved by the year 2020. So there are 16 targets they have given. Out of that, the target 8 is very, very relevant to the botanical garden. It says at least 75% of the threatened plant species in ex situ collections, preferably in the country of origin, and at least 20% of them should be available for recovery and restoration program. So that is the target 8 set by this GSPC, and according to that, all of the botanical garden in the country, we are doing that collection and conservation of at least 75% of the threatened species of that particular region. So that is very relevant to the botanical garden. So the botanical garden have been in existence throughout India for thousands of years. It is not very new, and have been reportedly mentioned in ancient Sanskrit literature also. So they functioned as a botanical garden of the whole world. So there are many these mentions are available in the Sanskrit literature of the existence of these botanical gardens. So during the progress of the Mughals, East India Company and British, botanical gardens prospered, and with their fall, the garden decayed. So as their rule was fall, and this garden also perished. Now with India's independence, they are again coming up. So they are developing in many parts of the country. A network of botanical gardens have come up and are functioning throughout the country with intensive botanical activity. In many places you can find now important botanical gardens are exist with intensive activities you can find. So one of such important botanical garden in our country is that Indian Botanic Garden. It is situated in Howrah. Earlier it is called Shibpur. Now it is called Howrah. So now this particular botanical garden, Indian Botanical Garden, is renamed as Acharya Jagadish Chandra Bose Indian Botanic Garden. So AJCB Botanic Garden, established in the year 1787. So it is one of the oldest botanical garden you can find in the world. So this is established during the East India Company's rule. So earlier it was called, during the East India Company's rule, it is called Company Bagan. So Bagan means an ancient place wherein the plants have been conserved. So in 1857, when Queen Elizabeth Victoria has taken the charge of this company, and she renamed that particular garden, our garden, as Royal Botanic Garden. So after independence, and once again it is renamed as Indian Botanic Garden in 1950, and then recently it has been renamed as Acharya Jagadish Chandra Bose Indian Botanic Garden. And popularly in Calcutta, And popularly, and this is known as bee garden. People, if you say it is Indian Botanic Garden or Acharya Jagdishchandra Botanic Garden, they may not be knowing, but the people around that, they popularly they call this botanic garden as bee garden. Botanical garden or just bee garden. So it is situated in the Southeast Asia's largest and one of the oldest in the world. It is situated in the banks of River Hooghly or this River Ganges with an area of 273 acres. So it was an area of 373 acres, and the picture is showing is a Palm Avenue. It is there in the front of the main office of the botanical garden. So this garden was founded by one of the East India Company's colonial man, Robert Kidd, so who has started developing this, and he was the honorary superintendent of this particular garden. So, okay, you can find the picture below is the monument established in that particular garden. It's called Kidd Monument. Kidd Monument. So after this Kidd, this William Roxburgh, who is the first salaried superintendent of this particular botanical garden, who has developed the Flora of India in 3 volumes. So who has written Flora of India in 3 volumes, and he aptly called as Father of Indian Botany. Father of Indian Botany. I'll just show you the picture of this particular person who has done much of the work on botany of India. So these are the 3 important persons who has helped to develop this particular botanical garden to present day high. Botanical garden into herbarium and place it in this particular place. So whatever the species published earlier, most of them are his collection. So we call it as Wallich catalog. He cataloged, but he did not name all the species, and he did not give any description, but he collected and put a number and kept it in the botanical garden. Even today, his collections are there in the Calcutta Botanical Garden, Howrah. So Nainital, Wallich. And then William Roxburgh, who is the, we aptly call it as Father of Indian Botany, who has compiled all his information, what Wallich has collected, and published as a Flora of Indica in 3 volumes. Flora of Indica, 3 volumes. Very important person of these 3. So these are some of the sections present in the Indian Botanic Garden. It is one of the pond wherein you can find the giant lily in plenty. It is called Victoria Amazonica, native to the South American plant and to the Amazonian river, but it is introduced in the botanical garden and it is thriving well. You can see the top right picture where a small kid is sitting on the leaves. That means the diameter of the leaves is around 1.5 meter diameter, and it can able to hold the weight of up to 20 kgs. It can easily hold the weight of 20 kgs. Such a big leaves it is. So generally it is called as giant lily. Giant lily. It is there in the Indian Botanical Garden. So this is the palm collections in the Indian Botanical Garden. There are numerous species that have been collected, and one of the important collection centers in entire India as palms concerned. So there is one important palm here is that it is a branching palm. It started branching. It's called Hyphaene tabeca. It is one of the species of South American origin, but it started branching here. It is not here only, but it is general habitat is like that. So it is there in the Indian Garden, and there is a separate palm house is there wherein there are many palms of this country has been conserved, and within that palm house there is one important species that Lodicea maldivica. So this is we generally call it as double coconut. So this double coconut is one of the largest fruit in the plant kingdom. Largest fruit in the plant kingdom, and you can see the picture below is the germinating double coconut. So it is there in the palm house in Indian Botanic Garden. Of course, here male and females are different, and we have a male plant, female plant here in our palm house, but we don't have a pollen. So generally 2-3 times they brought the pollen from the Singapore Botanical Garden. There we have a male plant, so they try to pollinate and they succeed also. The fruits that has happened in our Indian Botanic Garden. So plant conserved in the region wise. Here in the Indian Botanic Garden, the plants are conserved region wise. That means South American plants are conserved in one particular place, Southeast Asia plants is conserved in one particular place, Western Ghats plants are conserved in one particular place, like that. The plants are conserved region wise. So it possesses 25 such divisions, and 24 interconnected lakes are there in the Botanical Garden. And the lakes are connected to the Ganges through sluices for a regular inlet and outlet of water. If there is a high flow from the Ganges, so the water will come to the garden, otherwise it will get locked. It will not go back to the river if it is in the low tide also. So garden is a repository of 12,000 trees, shrubs and climbers. So one of the largest repositories in the country. There are more than 12,000 trees, shrubs, and climbers are found in this particular botanical garden. So this is one of the most important attraction in the Indian Botanical Garden is that big banyan tree. So there is it's around a 250-year-old banyan tree. It has a mention in the Guinness Book of, and it is a main record. The main trunk, it is died in 1920, the fungal attack, and during that time it measures around 16 meters of girth. So it has fallen in 1925. So it has 2,900 prop roots. Is there. So you can see in the left down picture, the prop roots are coming down. So people are there to curate those prop roots, properly come and reach the ground. So make them support also things so that there are 2,900 such prop roots can be found in this particular tree. So the total circumference of this crown circumference of this particular tree is around 450 meters. It is roughly about half a kilometer. So if you want to walk around this tree, it is around half a kilometer. So it's very, very attractive, very important plant or the site in this particular botanical garden. So these are about the Indian Botanical Garden, and we also go into the next important botanical garden of the international aspect is that the Royal Botanical Garden, Kew. It is one of the most important and very famous botanical garden in the entire world. So it is situated in the London, Richmond, London. So Kew Gardens are also called Royal Botanic Garden is a botanic garden in southwest London that houses the largest and most diverse botanical and mycological collections in the entire world. One of the most diverse and largest collections in the world. So it is founded in 1840 from the exotic gardens of at Kew Park in Middlesex, England, and its living collections includes more than 27,000 taxa. You can imagine. So we have in India around 18,000 vascular plants, but the Kew Garden alone has more than 27,000 taxa. Imagine, more than India's collection is there in Kew Garden. The herbarium, as I said, is one of the important scientific research of the botanical garden to have an herbarium. That means a collection of dried specimens of plants. So here, have an herbarium, which is one of the largest in the world, has over 8.5 million preserved plant and fungal specimens. One of the largest. More than 8.5 million preserved specimens can be found in this particular herbarium. One of the largest herbarium and very well maintained herbarium. So Kew Gardens, together with the Botanic Gardens at Wakehurst, there is next adjacent to the Kew. They are all run by these Royal Botanic Gardens, Kew, an internationally important botanical research and education institution as of now. The origin of the Kew Garden can be traced to the merging of Royal Estates of Richmond and Kew in 1772. They merged and they started this particular garden. So origin and then officially renamed in 1840 as Royal Botanic Garden. The first director of this botanical garden is William Hooker. He is succeeded by another person called J.D. Hooker, who is the one who written the Flora of India in 7 volumes, J.D. Hooker. So J.D. Hooker is the official director of this first official director of the botanical garden, and William Hooker is the honorary director. He was the honorary director and succeeded by the J.D. Hooker as the official director of this Royal Botanical Garden, Kew. So it has different sections as we in Indian Botanic Garden also, as I said, here also there are many such sections are there. They are very, very important and they are very well maintained. There is one alpine house, all these high altitude species has been maintained there. And there's one